Hey, this is Pidge, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over my 3.17 League starter, which is going to be the infamous aura stacking Carrion Golems. You heard that right, I'm bringing it back. This is quite a complex build guide because we're not going to be able to start as aura stacking Carrion Golems. We need to transition at some point, so I'm going to go through those transitions. The first thing to look at are some important items for early game, things you want to be looking out for. So we want to get a +1 minion helmet as soon as possible, and to get that we're going to need a magic helmet, 1 orb of alteration, and 1 life flask with the suffix of animation. Over on the left there you'll see that the life flask of animation, to get that you need any rarity life flask, 1 orb of transmutation, and any rarity bone shield. Vendor those in and you will get back the life flask of animation, which you can then use to create your helmet. Obviously we're looking for movement speed boots, and also you're going to want to be picking up or targeting essences of fear for your wand crafts. Just use these as and when you get them on a decent base, and you'll always get an upgrade to your DPS essentially. To start the process, we're going to begin with Stormblast Mine and Orb of Storms. These two synergize really well, and it's just a really strong way to level as a witch. There's no point using minions at this point because they just fall over, so it's best to get some levels into those minion gems. When you get to level 8, this is what your loadout should look like, and then you can start to begin to use summon skeletons. Make sure you check out any Val side areas that you come across because you're really looking for Val summon skeletons. It adds a massive DPS boost to any boss fight. Everything else in the bottom right I've just put there as reminders, so you're always looking for these items. By the time we hit level 24, we will be using our minions, so we can now drop Stormblast Mine and Orb of Storms, and instead opt for Summon Skeletons and Raise Zombies. These together will be dishing out a fair chunk of damage, so you're not going to see any problems throughout the campaign. Make sure your loadout looks like this at level 24, and you should be sailing through the axe. So the main damage links are going to be Val Summon Skeleton. Hopefully you've got this in your +1 minion helmet as well, with minion damage, melee splash, and melee physical damage. That will be supported by Raise Zombies, Minion Life, Summon Phantasm, and Minion Damage. You'll be self-casting Vulnerability, and also running Flame Dash with Arcane Surge, Vitality for your life regen, Spirit Offering, Desecrate, and Skitterbots, with Clarity to continuously boost our mana pool. This will be the link setup that will carry you all the way through to the end of the campaign, and you can set this up from level 38 onwards. So Vulnerability will be unlinked, so make sure you don't link that with Generosity, and then you want Generosity and War Banner in a 2-link. We have Raise Spectre with Meat Shield, Raise Zombie, and Flesh Offering. The Spectres, by the way, are Carnage Chieftain and Host Chieftain. You can pick these both up in Act 7 Ashen Fields. In the offhand, we're using Flame Dash, again unlinked, and then you have a 2-link of Immortal Call and Cast When Damage Taken. Don't level these up past level 5 and 3, as shown here on the screen. And then your main 6-link, if you're fortunate, but build this up over time, so Val Summon Skeletons, Minion Damage, Melee Physical Damage, Multi-Strike, Brutality, and the 6th link would be Melee Splash. In the 2 unset rings would be Desecrate and Convocation. In the gloves we've got Skitterbots linked with Unbound Ailments, Pride and Vitality, and in the boots we have our Carrion Golem with Feeding Frenzy, Maim and Clarity. So we're still using skeletons. I think it's a really smooth playstyle to get through the campaign, and this will get you all the way to maps. Here are the leveling trees, and these will all be in the description. And if you end up using skeletons all the way to level 80, this is what your skill tree would look like. Here's the order of ascendancies, so Commander of Darkness, then Mindless Aggression, Unnatural Strength, and finally Bone Barrier. Okay, once you get hold of your 2 Clay Shapers and your Amulet or Talisman with Golem Commander anointed, you can then switch over to Carrion Golems, and this is what your links will look like. You can do this at any point, you don't have to wait till level 80. If you're lucky enough to get those items before then great. So in the weapon we have Generosity linked with War Banner and Precision at level 1. If you have more mana left over at the end of everything else, then you can up that a little bit, but I wouldn't go too crazy with it. In the helmet we have Raised Zombie with Maim, Raised Spectre and Meat Shield. That should definitely be a +1 helmet at this point. Flame Dash is in the offhand, Unlinked, and then Immortal Call and cast when damage taken. Desecrating Convocation are in the rings, and then your main 6 link would be Carrion Golems with melee physical damage, minion damage, multi-strike, brutality and feeding frenzy. In the gloves we've got Skitterbots with Unbound Ailments, Pride and Vitality, and in the boots we have Clarity and Flesh Offering as a 2 link, and the other 2 link in the boots would be Vulnerability linked with Arcanist Brand. So here you can use Arcanist Brand to actually cast Vulnerability for you, so you're not having to be extra precise with your targeting. Because you've got the Clay Shapers and because you've got the Anointed Amulet, you are now able to run 4 Carrion Golems. And because we've now switched over to Golems, we need to adjust the tree slightly. So this is what the level 80 tree would look like after you've switched over to Golems. At this point, after the switch, you really need to start planning ahead because there's a big shopping list, there's a lot to do. So one of the main items we're going to be using is the Hungry Loop. Okay, for anyone who's not familiar with the Hungry Loop, it is an unset ring, and we're going to be using it in this build to create a 5 link for our zombies. The way that it works is that if you level up a gem whilst it's socketed in the Hungry Loop from 19 to 20, it will consume that gem. So here we want to consume minion damage, brutality, feeding frenzy and melee physical damage. Once those 4 are consumed, it can then consume no more gems. So then we slot our zombies in there and the Raised Zombie gem will actually be a 5 link. Quality doesn't matter on these gems, so don't worry about getting them 20/20. Just make sure when they are level 19 and 99% complete, put them in the Hungry Loop, level them up to 20, and the ring will consume them. Then you're going to want to pick up all of these gems as soon as possible, preferably with quality, because that'll save you a lot of time, and start leveling them up. We're going to be using all of these for our end game. The Hungry Loop is the most important, so if you're struggling for spare gem slots in your offhands, then these are your priority. In addition to looking for all of these gems and leveling them up, we also need to have a shopping list for some items. We're going to need 1 Cold Iron Point, an Intuitive Leap, Energy from Within, a Chevron's Wrappings, this can be a 5 link, Breath Stealers, an Alpha's Howl, Prism Guardian, Darkness Enthroned, 2 Primordial Eminence, 1 Primordial Might, and an Anima Stone. So you're going to be at this phase for quite some time. The Golem build at level 80 and onwards will carry you, you're going to be fine. But look out for these so we can actually switch over to aura stacking. Okay, so you've bought the items on the shopping list. Now we get into endgame territory, and here is what the skill tree will look like. The big change here is that we've added the 2 large clusters, and they're both the same. They're both 8 passive minion damage large clusters with Renewal, Rotten Claws, and Vicious Bite. The small clusters that we're using at this point are Attributes, Intelligence, 25% increased effect, and Sublime Form. And here we have the same thing, but instead of Sublime Form, we have Destructive Aspect. If you're struggling for different attributes, then feel free to change up these cluster jewels so that you can get more strength or dexterity, whatever it is you're missing. Here we have an energy from within, and that's converting all of this life into energy shield. Because we are using Chevron's wrappings, we are low life, so we do need to be boosting up our energy shield as much as possible. In this jewel socket we have an intuitive leap, and over here we have just a regular cobalt jewel that has minion damage and energy shield, a little bit of attributes. The intuitive leap, by the way, if you're new to this, is so you can allocate these two nodes here without actually connecting them to the tree. Make sure you get both of them. Some people miss this small one, but that's really important. Okay, we do path up to this, and in here we have the Anima Stone. In the large cluster here we have 2 Primordial Eminences, and over here we have Primordial Might. So by having all of these primordial jewels in there, that allows us to drop the clay shapers and still have 4 Carrion Golems, which is really important. I'll just go over the masteries real quick. So here we have minions have 100% increased crit strike, 30% increased life reservation of skills, minion attacks overwhelm 20% physical damage reduction. Over some of your skills have 15% increased effect on us, 15% increased mana reservation of skills, and Vitality has 100% increased mana reservation. We'll take a look at the stats real quick. So DPS, are we on Cyrus? Yes we are. Alright, so Cyrus DPS 1.3 million per golem. In addition we do have the zombies, so we're looking at 6.5 million for everything. Physical damage reduction at 88%. 84% chance to evade attacks, 4,500 energy shield, 22k armor, 23k evasion rating, all capped reses, except for chaos. There might be ways to get more in gear, but I've just got a really poor example of what a gear setup might look like. So if you look into the items, 1 Cold Iron Point, a Prism Guardian, Alpha's Howl. Make sure you get the enchantment for Flesh and Stone of 75% increased mana reservation efficiency. That's really important. And you see, there's just nothing fancy you can do with these. There's a lot of uniques at this point. So Chevron's wrappings, absolutely necessary for this build so that we can run low life. Some breath stealers, which are black gloves, and what breath stealers allow you to do is actually anoint like you would on an amulet. It allows you to anoint Golem Commander, and that's going to give us our 4th Golem. Just some boots with movement speed, and if you can get it, Aspect of the Avian. You need Aspect of the Avian somewhere, and because we're using so many uniques, there aren't that many places you can get it. You can get it on your boots, you can get it on a ring, or your amulet. But the amulet, as you can see from the rolls here, I've just thrown pretty much any amulet in there that has Champion of the Cause allocated. That's the anointment that we're going to be using going forward, and that's going to allow us to run all of our auras. On the amulet, you're just looking to balance out your build, so if you're missing any particular resistances, if you're missing chaos res, if you want more energy shield or attributes, then get them on here. The Hunger Loop, as we talked about, so you'll have Brutality, Feeding Frenzy, Melee, Fizz and Minion damage, all consumed into the ring, and then the ring itself is running Raise Zombie. The other unset ring is just fixing up attributes and energy shield and chaos resistance. Darkness Enthroned is the unique belt, which is still incredible. In the belt we've got 2 Ghastly Eye Jewels that are going to need to give us energy shield, minion damage, any flat physical damage you can get, and also minions leech. I would get at least one that has leech. Leech is really important. For the flasks we're using Basalt of Warding, Quartz of Staunching, Jade Flask of Iron Skin, Granite Flask of Adrenaline, and the Quicksilver Flask of Reflexes. Now this damage is actually without using the Animate Guardian. The way that we're going to switch that on is with an alternative Basalt Flask here that I have rolled, that one there that I have rolled with the gear that I've suggested in the build guide. So the damage at the moment is 1.3 million per golem. If we put the Animate Guardian on, 1.7 million. It's 400k DPS per golem by adding the Animate Guardian. So that's how big of a difference it makes. Okay, time to go over the skill links. Bone armor we get from the Ascendancy. We've got Flame Dash in one of the rings. The 6th link is going to be Summon Carrion Golems with Brutality, Melee Fizz, Multi-Strike, Increased Critical Damage, and Minion Damage. If you're buying these, buy them with quality, it makes a big difference. In the boots we've got Flesh and Stone linked with Maim, Convocation and Clarity. Raid Zombie is in the Hungry Loop. Generosity linked with Divergent Dread Banner and Precision. Animate Guardian with Race Spectre, Meat Shield and Minion Life. Val Grace, Val Discipline, Pride, Vitality. Aspect of the Avian will either be on your boots or on your ring. In the Prism Guardian we have Determination, that should be Divergent. Divergent Determination, Purity of Elements, Val Haste, and Vulnerability is on the gloves that the Animate Guardian is wearing. This is the exact build that I will be running. The nice thing here is that we don't need to corrupt any of these jewels, so the Ghastlies don't need to be corrupted. To get more mana reservation efficiency, none of the primordial jewels, none of these need to be corrupted in a special way, so it keeps the cost down by a lot. As you can see, we're using lots of uniques here, so the cost of those are going to be fixed. And even to get these numbers, the things that are rare are pretty poorly rolled, right? So these can definitely be improved upon, is my point. The Spectres for the build are going to be Carnage Chieftain and Host Chieftain. You can pick up both of those in Act 7 Ashen Fields. And then as you gain access to more Spectre slots, where you're going to be able to use either Syndicate Operatives, which is what I would use at Endgame. So once we're dishing out a shit ton of damage, I would use Syndicate Operatives just for some ranged clear. Or you could use Thay of Toll or Arena Champion for some increased defenses. For the Bandits, you want to kill all of them. Once you've upgraded to Aura Stacking, we're going to be able to bring our Animate Guardian online, and the budget gear for that is there on the left hand side, and then the upgrades, which make a massive difference to your DPS, are on the right hand side. So I'll start with the left hand side, and then as you gradually see it becoming more and more tanky, so it's taking less damage, then you can actually shed out and get some of the upgrades on the right. Finally, I just want to bring some attention to the community, and come and check me out over on Twitch. I will be streaming 317. YouTube, not just about videos, but also community posts, so hit the bell if you want to be informed of when I put new stuff up. And also the Discord community, we've got over 2,000 people in there who play POE or Rust, just gamers essentially with a lot of knowledge, so if you want to become part of that community, all of the links will be down in the description. All of them are free, so give them a look. As always, thanks for making it to this point in the video. Feel free to let me know what you think about the guide down in the comments below. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more POE content, I really appreciate that, and I hope you have a great 317. I'll see you in there. Peace out.